He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in LA, here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
Well, if you haven't guessed yet, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. I thought I'd catch you there. Okay.
Good try.
Thank you. All right. It's another Sunday night, and what else were you going to do? You were going to come here, weren't you? I can see there's a pile of people watching us already, and we've got a great show tonight. But what else? Would you expect anything less?
No, of course not. At least we got that moon thing out of the way to keep you from being distracted.
The moon thing?
Yeah, the super moon.
Oh man, that was really something.
Did you catch
night.
On to that whole meme of the super moon?
It was like, whoa, it's like 28 feet closer than it usually is.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, wow. It was obviously a lot bigger. No, it's so funny. Moon photos. People are like, "Look how big it is." And I'm like, "Well, it's how it's cropped. It's how long the lens is. Blah blah blah." Well, exactly. I admit I wanted to get in on the super moon, and I went out there at about midnight with my wife's Canon and went out to the beach and got a shot of the moon. And, it looks nice, but it's really high in the sky, and it just looks like a picture of the moon. A full moon almost any other day of the year.
Yeah, and it was almost like sunlight.
It was bright. It was really bright. For you photo nerds, I was shooting at f2.8 at 0.05 of a second to get a proper exposure. So, and that was at ISO 50.
I know it. I actually know what that means.
Yeah. It was very, very bright. It was quite impressive. If there wasn't so much ambient and light pollution at the beach, you probably could have walked around with, and got a tan.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Well, yes. Well, and another interesting week here at the East West Audio Body Shop. Let's see. What went on with me? Oh, I don't have to do jury duty tomorrow. May have to do it Tuesday.
That's good.
Yeah, it's nothing like calling up your number 271, numbers 1 to 221 report. Yes!
Really? I don't know how it works in New York, but believe it or not, of all people, Don LaFontaine told me that if you call in California, you have to call in the night before to see if you're on.
That's what we have to do here.
Don said if you call in really late, like, right before midnight, call late as possible because they'll have already filled the quotas by that time because all the other folk who have to call in to work, they all call in a lot earlier. They call in the middle of the day or, right at the end of the day. Right. And I don't know. I've gotten out of jury duty like 3 times, but I got selected another time too. So it could be totally, random.
It's either random or it's the exact opposite of Southwest Airlines. It's like, gotta call in first, don't call in last, and maybe I won't get a seat,
Right. Then you get a better seat, yeah.
Yes. Speaking about people in seats, sitting here on our show tonight is going to be our very, very special guest, one of the legends of our industry. I mean, he's been in this industry before there was an industry.
Yeah, he's been at this a long time.
That's right. This guy does trailers. He does promos. He's a great storyteller. This guy's been around the block a few times, but he's going to be here on our show. Bill Ratner is our guest tonight, and that's going to be fun talking to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he may not be in video format tonight, but it's with Bill, it's all about the voice. I mean, he's a voice actor, of course it is, but I think he'll be audio only, but we might be able to get him on a Source Connect. I got my fingers crossed.
Oh, well, that would be different. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we're going to get all this Source Connect stuff working, and it's going to sound like we're sitting next to you.
Yeah,
it almost sounds like that now.
It's pretty good now. I mean, we're getting as much sound quality as you can ever hope to get out of Skype, and I think it's pretty amazing what we can get out of it. But there's still a little bit of that top end of the bandwidth, that just doesn't quite have the sizzle, of a studio recording. Yeah. So.
But
we're
it's
always
broadcast.
Yeah, we're always trying to get that last little bit of, something out of the show for you guys.
That's right. We're trying to stretch the envelope of technology.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a TV show, guys. But of course, it shows the difference between just doing voiceover and broadcast stuff. People talk about broadcast quality. WTF is that? I mean, come on, it's...
Yeah, I throw that term around a little too loosely, I admit. I mean, because when people are asking me when I'm trying to quantify what professional quality means, I will sometimes say broadcast quality, because I don't know what else to say.
Having been in broadcasting, I can tell you there's no quality there to start with. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe HD radio has changed that a bit. Do you ever listen to HD radio?
I do listen to HD radio.
You have it in your car, or?
Have it in my room. I've got somebody bought me a really nice Polk. Probably my wife bought it for me for Father's Day or something. But it was a nice Polk. It's sort of like one of those Bose radios.
Yeah.
And it takes HD, and you can tag the songs, and you can do all sorts of stuff with it. But the public station here has an HD sub channel on it, and they play like lots of that early 80s stuff that I like.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's kind of nice. And it sounds really good.
Sounds good, huh? Does it sound like CD quality, so to speak?
There's the CD. See, there's that oxymoron again.
I know. Well, that's another nebulous term that's been thrown around for many, many years. It's CD quality. Because people don't know, they're not going to say, in advertising, they're not going to say it's at 48 kilohertz 16-bit sample rate. No, they're going to say it's CD quality.
CD quality. All right. Well, speaking of better than CD quality, I guess you wanted to talk about Source Connect tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do tell. Let's talk about Source Connect.
All right. Source Connect, we had a fan chime in and say, they were interested in learning more about Source Connect, how it can be used, if they should use it, that kind of stuff. And I figured maybe it might be a nice night to catch up a little bit on what's new with Source Connect and where it is, the state of the union of Source Connect. The latest thing with Source Connect really is just they're trying to make it easier to use. They're just trying to make it more streamlined so that you can get it set up and running, as easily as possible, and that the actual software itself, the interface, has a much simpler GUI, or graphical user interface. So they're trying to make it feel and operate more like Skype. In fact, I think it's even simpler than Skype now. Skype has gotten...
If such is possible.
I know. Well, Skype has added all these new features, and it has all these hidden buttons and things that you can't find, and it's actually, I think, gotten more complicated, and Source Connect has gone the other direction, and the interface has gotten simpler to use, I think. Where it's not as simple to set up is the initial configuring your iLock and configuring your network. The iLock, and I'll show you one right here because I got one plugged into my computer.
You have one of the new iLocks? I have the... Oh, you've got the old blue one.
Yeah, this is an old one. I've had this iLock with my licenses on it for almost 5 years. And this contains the license to run the software. Any of you that use Pro Tools 9 or 10 have to have one of these to run Pro Tools. I can't think of any other DAWs or softwares that need it other than Pro Tools and all the Pro Tools plugins and Source Connect. So the license goes on here, and I'll give you the quick rundown of the pluses and minuses of it. The plus side of it is now that the license is on this thing, you can have Source Connect installed on as many computers as you want. Your home machine, your laptop, whatever. Just have it on any machine you need. One at the studio, at the station, whatever it is. Wherever it is that you work, you can have Source Connect on it. As long as this thing is plugged in, it will run. So that's the advantage of it, portability of the license. The disadvantage of it is that you have to have one of these. And you can't have ours. Right. And if you lose this thing, let's say you go on vacation, you lose it, or you just forget to bring it with you, you're in trouble. You have to have one of these. You have to go buy one. And Source Connect will usually, if you beg and plead, if you ask them, they will usually give you a temp license to get you back online and up and running, but that's just a temporary license. You'll still have to replace your iLock, and you'll have to replace the license. You heard me right.
Ooh, oh.
So, say you bought the $650 standard license. If you lose this iLock and the license is on it, you've lost the license, and you have to buy it again. So
how much are those things? Like $50?
Well, the iLock's $50. The license is $650. That's what you care about.
Whoa.
So if you insure your equipment, should be insured for $650. Anywho, but the iLock is a big part of it. Once the iLock is configured, working, and the account's set up, and all that, hoops have been jumped through, the actual installation and setup of Source Connect has gotten a lot easier. They've always kind of been Mac first, Windows second, and that's because it's developed by recording people for recording engineers, and most studios are still, commercial studios are Mac. So there's a nice, very simple to use standalone version for Source Connect now that I will see if I can bring it up on the screen. I'm going to drag it over in front of Dan here, and so you can see what it looks like.
No.
I'll put it next to you. There we go.
Okay, thank you. Much better.
Much better. I like this. Juggle these around. Okay. Not worth it. Okay. So basically, this is what it looks like once it's installed and running. And this is actually Source Connect Pro, so it's got a little bit more a lot more bells and whistles. But you have a contacts list. You have a messaging window, and right now it's telling me that there's an error because of sample rate converting, which is one of those things that we really don't care about, at least in VoiceOver. And then you've got your contacts, your messaging, and then there's a function called Queue Manager. And what Queue Manager is, and I'm not using it right now, allows you to, if there's a drop in the signal during a Source Connect session, it will automatically replace the broken part of the audio with a piece of audio that was captured on your computer. It's very clever, but it's a new technology. Well, not new. It's been around a couple years, but it's taken a really long time to get anybody to learn and incorporate it into their studios.
Yeah.
But
can you still record on it?
It's not a recording app. It is technically recording. I mean, it is. If you have Queue Manager running, Queue Manager is recording and tracking what you're doing in the background, but you're not actually going to have there may be a temp folder or something where the file goes into, but it's not a recording app in the strictest sense of the word. So some people will actually record. Let's say, for example, you use Twisted Wave. Some people will have Twisted Wave rolling and Source Connect going simultaneously, just in case, so they have that recorded backup. But usually you don't have to do that. So, it's pretty straightforward. Once you have a contact list open, your contacts will appear that you're working with. I have a lot in here that are offline, the vast majority of which are, but there's almost always at least Echo A and Echo B available. And what those are, those are studio, those are computers at the Source Elements office studio. And if I could try it right now and see what happens, if I connect to Echo A, you should hear...
The number you are reaching is
Echo. One. Two. So you're hearing a loop back of my voice. You're hearing slightly less quality because right now I have. I'll hang that up. Right now I have the send settings at a low bit rate. But let's say I crank it up to something really high, like 128.
Oh, that's really high.
Well, it's 128K AAC.
Okay.
Mono, which is definitely a big step above MP3.
Yes, it is.
So let's see if you can hear the difference. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3.
I can hear it.
Test. One. Test. It pretty much is a duplicate. So you can hear the quality of it is quite amazing. I mean, you can achieve really, really high quality. Now, like I said, I am using the Pro version, which gives me a lot of adjustability of bitrate and stuff. But even the standard version gives you like a low, medium, and high. Medium is 64, high is 96. And I generally recommend everybody use high if they have the bandwidth. But if you're traveling and you're in a less than ideal situation, your hotel bandwidth is not so great, and you're getting a lot of interruptions in the signal, you might set it to medium, which is 64 kilobits per second. Low sounds a little lo-fi. Doesn't sound much better than Skype, actually. So you would use that only in an absolute emergency.
Yeah. Now, Diane's asking, stupid question.
No, it's no stupid questions, please.
Is that only mono, or does it do stereo too? Just wondering.
That's a good question. So
it is a good question.
It depends on what you want to feed it. So I have it configured right now to send a mono signal. It's taking input 1 from a mobile pre that I have hooked to my board, and that is the signal. If I wanted it to be stereo, I could actually set it for stereo. But you never want to use stereo for voiceover because you're sending a single, mono audio track, and you'll just be degrading the audio trying to pack, a double of your voice because you have a left and a right channel, and pack it down the same bit stream. And so you're losing quality in the end. So as long as you're sending mono, you're going to get the best, quality audio you can with that bit rate. That's why we always send mono MP3s. It's the same concept. Yeah. So you can send mono or stereo, but you're going to pretty much always use mono. There's a few more tweaky things on the geeky version, the pro version, where you can adjust buffer settings and ports and all this stuff. But generally,
that's for you to set up, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recommend pro version for most of the clients, and mainly because, for one, it's $1,500 versus $650. But two, the standard version seems to work just fine for a home studio where you're in a fixed location all the time. Your network is configured. You have network ports mapped, and everything is working in a consistent environment. It doesn't seem to really behoove most home users to invest in the pro version, to have the extra ability to tweak things like buffer settings and ports and all that stuff. Exactly. But for those who are working on the road and are really using this as a mission critical tool to, say, bridge with an ISDN studio, and they have to use a service that would connect, source connect into ISDN for them. But, if you're doing ISDN work, obviously it's pretty time sensitive usually. And if you really need a system that's going to work no matter where you are, and you have the ability to tweak things and work with less than ideal networks, then the pro version may be worth it for you. But generally, standard is fine.
Right. If you absolutely positively have to have that. Again, if you're going on the road and you've got to have all this stuff, why go on the road?
Well, it's for those doing like imaging stuff where it's like extremely time sensitive or topicals.
Right.
Bill will definitely talk about some of his experiences working on the road and having to get a job done right now and what he's gone through to do it.
Right. But I think for the average person, it's nice to have, but as a direct studio link, though, it's definitely the wave of the future. Yeah. Certainly less expensive, more reliable than ISDN.
You know what? I've been telling a lot of my clients that, like I said, are mission critical users that can't afford to be down to get Source Connect as a backup. And a lot of them are saying, man, that really saved my butt today because AT&T's network went down, or I couldn't get a receive connection, or whatever. ISDN just seems to be getting less and less stable. And there's a lot of theories on why that is. I think it's because ISDN's network is just the equipment that the phone companies have put in is old or hasn't been used in ages in some cases. And but Source Connect, I think, is a really good backup for ISDN. Is it a substitute for ISDN? Because I know that's probably one of the biggest questions. And I'd have to say it depends. It depends on who the client is. Some studios are so stubborn, unless they know you are literally on an ISDN line, they're not going to accept a substitute. But others are going to be,
that's
more
their
flexible.
Problem, I think.
I know the others are going to be more flexible. So, and Diane says, "Does it only work on Pro Tools?" No, the version I showed you just now was not Pro Tools, not running in Pro Tools at all. That was a completely standalone application, like this little window here that I have over Dan. That's the application. That is not running within something else. That is its own application.
It's a standalone.
It's standalone, yeah.
Right.
Now, the newest version, which they call 3.6, is standalone and an insert or a plugin simultaneously. It'll do both jobs. So those of you... Oh, it was a majorly low flying helicopter. For those of you who have to use Source Connect with Pro Tools because their effects chain and all this stuff is in Pro Tools, then you can run it that way. But no, you don't need to run it in Pro Tools. If you're using Twist-A-Wave or any other standalone or recording software, you're just going to use this the standalone version of Source Connect. You don't need to use it as a plugin. And it is Windows compatible. It's kind of been, I think the Windows standalone version, which looks just like what I showed you, is coming out like imminently.
Yep.
So they're finally catching up for the Windows users. And I've been using Source Connect with clients on computers now for 5 years. And we've been using it on computers that when we started 5 years ago, were 3 and 4 years old. You know, like at a PowerBook G4.
It still works on my G4.
Yeah, and it ran fine. So you don't need a super high power computer. You want to have a computer that's clean, doesn't have a lot of junk running on it, but it'll run on almost any modern, well, it'll definitely run on any modern computer.
Yep.
No problem.
All right. Well, I guess everybody's going to, if you want to try it, let us know what your experience with it is. I think that would probably be a big help. I've used it. I cut my demo in LA with it, and I was still sitting here in my basement in Buffalo in the middle of December. So
that's right. Well, if you really want to get more into detail about this thing, and if you really understand how it can be used in your studio, and if you should get it and all that stuff, I am doing a webinar on it too with John Florian on VoiceOver Extra. So excellent. Google that. I don't know the day yet.
Right. And as soon as we do, we'll let you know.
We will.
All righty. Well, we've got a lot more coming up. Bill Ratner's our guest tonight. He'll be here in just a little bit. A little discussion on ambient noise coming up in my tip of the week. So stay right where you are on East West Audio Body Shop. We'll be right back.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to two characters that didn't have anything else better to do, Dan and George.
Yeah, that's pretty much what started all this. It's like, what else were we going to do on Sunday night? And it was like, hey, let's do a TV show. Yeah, I got an idea. Let's put on a show.
And our family was like, what about us?
What about us?
Oh,
I got to do my show, hon. It's like, yeah, okay. No, she's doing her show business thing this week. She's actually in a production of Iolanthe.
Really?
So she gets to play a little fairy.
Oh, cool.
I can't wait to see it. Should be very nice. Love Gilbert and Sullivan. Loved Gilbert and Sullivan since I was a kid.
Oh, fun. That'll be really neat.
Yeah.
Are you going to stream it live on the EWABS?
I can try. I'll just hold up my iPhone. I mean, if you can do it from some of these things you do it from, I could probably do it. From
you can use an iPhone to stream the Ustream. It's absolutely amazing.
Right, or an iPad too. So I can't wait to try.
Or
that.
Android.
Anyway, yes. Well, okay. Speaking of high technology, in all the years I've been helping people with home studios, something became very apparent to me about what people are not perceiving. Now, we talked a few weeks ago. Remember, we talked, my tip of the week, we talked about monitors. Being able to monitor your audio is very, very important because you'll start to hear things that you didn't hear before, even though they were always there. So why don't we roll my tip of the week and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about it. So pay attention.
You got it.
Did you ever stop and listen to your house? It's important to think about because, remember, any noise that's in your house, if you're not in an isolated booth, it's going to be on your recordings. I get recordings from people all the time and they say, it's quiet. But there's a lot of noise that you have to think about because your brain doesn't. It shuts it out. For example, listen. This is just in my kitchen, and it all goes downstairs into my studio. Probably the worst offender is this guy, the refrigerator. It all reverberates right through your house. And maybe some things you don't even think about, like an aquarium.
Oops. It froze. Let me do something about that. I don't know what happened.
It happens. All right, technical glitch of the week.
Noted. No, number one. No. The technical glitch of the week. That was it. That's all. We get one. All right. Let me. And I'll open it with QuickTime.
Okay.
And just
fast forward it to that part.
Yeah. Instead of taking any chances, I'm gonna drag it right over top of you.
Okay.
And we'll go to Dan here.
And then hit play. No, not that.
Not you, Dan.
No.
You, Dan.
That Dan. Okay.
All right, here we go. And make sure I get the right audio source. And here we go.
Probably the worst offender is this guy, the refrigerator. It all reverberates right through your house. And maybe some things you don't even think about, like an aquarium.
And it froze again.
Weird.
See if you can
it didn't freeze. It's still playing. It's just the image froze. I'm fast forwarding. Something happened in the export, Dan, in the video export.
Well, that sucks.
Oh, bummer. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys. Dan will re-export the video, and we will put it in the show notes.
Yes.
Right in the log. But go.
Sorry.
Summarize, Dan.
Okay. Well, essentially, what I was about to get to is that, and what inspired me to do this one was sitting in my kitchen and not hearing anything except, have you ever bought a new refrigerator and it sounds different from your old refrigerator? It's like, what's that noise? Oh, it's the new refrigerator. And then after a couple of days, if you got another new refrigerator, you'd say, what's that noise? Oh, that's the new refrigerator. Your brain starts to filter out monotonous sounds.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. And you're not aware of these sounds anymore. And if you live somewhere, I've had a lot of people, you hear this sort of rumbling in the background in their audio, and it's a highway, but your brain tunes out all of these sounds that are constant or are, monotonous, as we say. Yeah. So when you're recording, if you're in your studio and you're not in a sound isolated area, where you're still getting exterior sound in, that sound is coming through, especially from the refrigerator or from a highway or from the washing machine. Gee, I wish I could have seen the video because I'm doing the laundry and all this other stuff.
Everybody will get to see it. Trust me.
Okay, good. It will end up on your audio. So if people will send me stuff and I'll look at it on a spectrogram. And if any of you are familiar with the spectrogram, I get this bright orange line at the bottom going, are you next to a generator or something or a power station? And they're like, I'm sort of near a highway, and it's like, oh, well, it's vibrating your entire house and it's getting into your audio. So that's one of the things you have to consider is that's why I think it's real important to get a meta person, somebody else to listen to your audio and analyze it before you start sending it out to people. Also, you need to learn how to monitor it properly and know what to listen for. And if you listen to something that is a normal tone in your brain, but you play on a good pair of studio monitors, chances are you're going to hear and go, "What's that buzzing?" Yeah. But a lot of people don't hear that buzzing. So it's something you need to look out for. Now, how do you get rid of those sounds is really what I was trying to get at with this. Mm-hmm. And, how do you stop the refrigerator from making noise? Well, you could turn it off. And of course, you got to remember to turn it back on. Otherwise, you're sort of wasting all sorts of stuff there. What I found is we have this foam this very thin foam that you can see here. And what I did, I can't remember the website you get this from. Just look for foam.
Is it rubbery or foamy or somewhere in the middle?
It's somewhere in the middle. It's like neoprene. It's like
neoprene. Like neoprene. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I did was I took 2 long strips of it, put some very thin wood on top of those strips, and rolled the refrigerator back on top of it. Cut about 3 or 4 dB off of it, which was significant. And it actually made this particular studio much more usable. Also, don't do the laundry or let anybody else do the laundry while you're working. We made the joke about the furnace and the air conditioner. Turn it off, but remember to turn it on when you're done.
How about fish tanks? If you turn them off, make sure you turn them back on too.
Right. Well, I have an aquarium in here, and George will attest. It's always like, what's going on? You have a fountain running in there? It's like, no, it's my aquarium, which I turn off before I record, which really ticks off the plecostomuses. As I'm like, what? You turn off the light again? You turn it off. Anyway. I spend more time with the plecostomus than I do with my own kids. It's anyway.
Well, what are some of the things? I mean, you can filter some of those noises out with just a proper EQ, right? Like a high pass filter. I mean, that's what I recommend sometimes.
You can do that, unless of course your voice really depends on that really low end. Now, if anybody's below 80 hertz, you really got something.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual.
Or a noise gate, and these lower frequency sounds are not as audible as, say, some of the more mid-range, low frequent, low level sounds.
Right.
So it's a good thing to have somebody else like me or George actually listen to the audio and analyze it, look at it through a spectrograph and an oscilloscope and all these other amazing tools we have. I just use a spectrograph, and it shows it. And clearly I can see things. And then it's like, okay, are you next to a highway? Are you running the washing machine? Do you have a new refrigerator? Do you have an old refrigerator? All these sorts of things. And we can run down this list of questions, and we can always figure out what it is. And then there are certain strategies we can use to attenuate these noises, because it's always best to get rid of these noises from the source than have to try and get rid of them from using filters and stuff like that. And that really makes things a little bit more seamless.
Yeah, another really prominent issue is hard drive noise, or just the vibrating hard drive. So if you have like a hard drive, external drive sitting, if you have your computer itself on your desk, that's a real problem. But if you have like an external drive just sitting on the desk, man, that thing can make a major hum. It just rings and I've like put layers of foam and all sorts of junk under, like stuff like that, I've even, like in a pinch, grabbed a mouse pad because it's often a mouse pad has like that similar rubbery foam texture, and that can often stop a humming hard drive. So keep your hard drives and everything off the table, down on the floor. Yeah.
Guys, you can't have that noise back there, and you got to know that it's there. Amazes me that people are like, "There's a noise." Yeah, there's a noise. It's your external hard drive, or it's that air conditioning unit you have in the window there. That's coming over the mic. Yeah, sorry, sure not all of you are quite that naive, but some people just haven't quite caught on yet.
The thing is, if you can hear it, the mic can hear it.
Right? No question about it. Absolutely.
No question about it.
Yes, or dog barking and stuff like that. But once the dog starts barking, it's all over.
Exactly.
Our neighbors have a Gordon setter, Dylan, and they walk this dog 10, 15 times a day. This is a huge dog, and Ari sees Dylan walking by. He's got to bark for 5 minutes, and I'm like, I've got a book to finish here, and Dylan's going by. Oh man, I actually punched a hole in the ceiling to try and get the dog to shut up. So that's the other reason we're going to rebuild this thing. If I ever have the chance this summer to do it, suddenly I'm very, very busy.
That's how it goes. You get busy, so you need to improve your studio, but you can't improve your studio because you're busy.
That's right. Which reminds me of the story I was going to tell this week, and then we can go to a break, and then we can bring Bill Ratner in, which would be great. I got a job this week. Some Canadian trucking firm needed this very long thing, and I auditioned for it on Voice 123, and the instructions were burly Canadian. The heck, to me, a burly Canadian, some snowplow driver in Fort Erie, Ontario, across the river here from Buffalo. So I started talking. I said, "Okay, Dan Leonard as myself, and this is a good little trick, guys. And as a burly Canadian, there, eh?" So I read it both ways, and I booked the job. And with the the notice was, don't do the Canadian. This is a Canadian company up in Toronto, and so we've been playing that joke back and forth with each other all week while I was recording that. But can't do a real good Canadian accent there, eh? I know there's some Canadian. Now I wonder if Pat's out there, because Pat has Pat has a great Canadian accent, very proper. But anyway, but speaking of proper diction and great voices, Bill Ratner's coming up here on East West Audio Body Shop, and he's got some great stuff to tell us. And I guess we'll go to a break, and we'll be right back after that with Bill Ratner. So stay tuned.
Hey, my name is Bob Ball. I'm a voice actor and host of Pop Quizzical. Sure. I hear you thinking, Bob, what is this Pop Quizzical you speak of? Well, I'll tell you. It's a fun and funny, single-themed 10 to 15-minute audio quiz. It comes out every other week right here on the internets. You know, that thing that just about everything cool flows from. Pictures of cats, videos of dogs, and yes, Pop Quizzical. It's available on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are sold. And it's easily found, too. Go to bit.ly/popquizzical. There's also a companion website at popquizzical.com with daily quiz questions, and every Friday over on the Pop Quizzical Facebook page, it's a Freebie Friday. Free stuff throughout the day. From The Muppet Show to James Bond to St. Patrick's Day, the Pop Quizzical podcast has a little bit of everything for you. Challenge your mind and your funny bone with Pop Quizzical.
Class dismissed.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to Dan and George.
And we're back. Well, Bill is. We're having a little technical difficulty getting a hold of Bill, but we'll get a hold of him.
Yeah,
so,
I think he might have been out with the family, and he's just probably running just a little late. It happens. It is a Sunday.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Sundays, another story. My
Please.
good friend Jed Carroll and his family opened up a fabulous yogurt stand. Now, I know you guys in Denver and in Boston really give two diddly squats about it. This is a great place called Yo Betty. So if anybody comes into Buffalo, I have to take you to Yo Betty because it's great yogurt.
Very good.
We were there for the opening today, and it was a lot of fun. And now it's like, so how are you going to promote this? And he's like, I was going to ask you, and I'm like, I thought you'd never ask. so now we're coming up with a campaign, and I was taking pictures with the iPhone today. I could probably throw that one on there too.
Exactly.
Anyway, so you've got Tech of the Week while we're waiting for Bill to show up here.
Yeah, no problem.
So why don't you continue to talk about Tech of the Week? What have you got for us?
All right. Well, the thing that's popped up on my radar this week that looks like of interest to me anyway, and maybe some of you out there that use Google, is Google Drive. Google Drive just came out, and basically what it is for those that use Dropbox, you're really familiar. It's very similar to Dropbox. So
everybody has a Dropbox now.
I know. I think Google's coming a little bit late to the party. I mean, really late to the party, actually. I think everybody is kind of, if you're going to use a Dropbox, by now you're probably using it. So, yeah, I don't know how well it's going to catch on. But what it does is works very similar to Dropbox. You have a folder on your system, and you can drop files into it. You can share things. But what's different about it is if you use Google Docs, so if you use Google Docs for, collaborating on projects, or you just use it as your word processor or whatever, it integrates into Google Docs. In fact, once you set up Google Drive, it becomes Google Docs. The two get melded together and they're one thing.
So as you're looking in Google Docs, it'll list the different types of files, and your files will be there, and you can share those files with anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. You can sort by date and who created the file and last accessed and all that stuff. You can sort and organize. But what makes it really interesting is that you can sort and make folders and organize on your computer, on your desktop. So if you make a folder and start putting all the stuff for this job or that job into a folder, it syncs up to the cloud and you have, folders on Google Drive. Even more weird or different is all those Google documents that you may have already had, they get synchronized the other direction back to your own computer, but in a sort of a weird virtual kind of way. And this is the part I haven't figured out yet. It seems that it's making a duplicate of the files locally on your computer, but I think what it is it's just creating a shortcut to that file on the internet. So it creates a way to kind of seamlessly integrate stuff that's on your computer with stuff that's on Google Drive. And so if you're just more accustomed to having a workflow where, I got to work on this document, instead of going to Google Drive website to find it, you just go to your work folder where you keep all your files, and there's your document. But when you double click it, instead of opening with Word or Pages or whatever editor you use, it goes right to the Google Drive website and opens on the Google website. So it's a pretty interesting tool, and if it catches on, it may end up taking some thunder from Dropbox and iCloud too. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like nowadays, like you're in one of two camps. If you're online a lot and you're a heavy online user, you're either a heavy Google user or you're a heavy iTunes, iCloud, Apple, iOS user.
And the chances are the delineation has a lot to do with your OS, although you're a Google guy.
Well, it has a lot to do with your OS, and I think it even has more to do with your phone. So if you're an iPhone user, you're already kind of wired into the world of Apple. You're on iCloud. You're dug into that world.
Yeah.
If you have an Android phone like I do right now, then you're heavily wired into the Google world. Right. So if you have a Google account, if you have a Gmail, for example, you're already logged into the entire world of Google. You have access to everything, Docs and all that stuff. It's just there. Google Plus, all those things are wired in together. And so I think a lot of it really comes down to the phone. Because you could be running Windows or you could be running Mac at home and kind of work in both worlds relatively seamlessly. But iCloud now is strictly Mac, right?
It's
strictly not Windows.
Is.
So they're even Apple's even making a deeper line in the sand now and saying, if you want to play with us, you have to be fully, you have to be using all Apple product, where Google allows you to be a little bit more open. Have you actually heard of Chromebooks? Because you've got MacBooks.
When do you have the time to play around with this stuff?
One of the influences of this show was This Week in Tech.
Right.
Twit.tv. I listen to these shows. I don't watch them because I listen to them when I'm in the car. I wonder how many of you guys listen to our show and don't watch it in rerun, because you want to listen to it when you're driving. But I listen to a lot of shows, and so I hear this stuff. It just kind of percolates into instead of listening to KYW or the Drive Time radio show or the news or CNN, I'm listening to, tech news, so that's where I hear about this stuff. But the Chromebook is actually Google Chrome, the web browser, actually as an operating system for a computer, which is kind of a weird concept. So you start up this computer and all you see is Chrome. You see the Chrome browser, and everything you do, your entire world is through the Chrome browser. I could almost actually see getting a laptop for that, because when I'm using my day-to-day work, other than Twisted Wave, is in Google. I've got like 15 tabs open in Google Chrome, and everything I'm doing is in all these tabs in Google Chrome. And what's even more interesting is I love going on tangents, but this will be my final tangent, I think.
Okay.
And then I'll let you talk about something interesting.
Okay. Well, I know I got something, so all right, go ahead.
Twisted Wave just came out with a web version. So it's only Mac or iOS, but he came out with a web-based Twisted Wave. So as long as you're running one of the latest web browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, I think, you can actually run Twisted Wave in a web page, which is pretty wild. So those of you who are on Windows and missing out on the Twisted Wave revolution or whatever, you want to try it out, you don't have to get a Mac anymore. You can run Twisted Wave in Windows, in a web page.
Right. So Thomas finally did that.
He finally did it. It's been out. It's been in beta or a test. I tested it a while ago, and it's been betaed for a while. but he just finally made the beta public. So if you go to twistedwave.com, actually the whole website's a whole new design. He completely changed everything. And you'll now see there's a web version of TwistedWave. So give it a try. I'm sure you can try it out for free. I'm pretty positive you can.
Yeah, excellent. Now, somebody had a studio problem this week.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Was it on an inbox, or was it was it in the Facebook group?
I can't remember. Somebody sent us in a studio problem. Who was it? Somebody was just mentioning it in the chat room here. So who was it, and what was the problem?
Chime in. Whoever it was. Was it Charlie Still? Charlie Still? No, that was just a compliment. That was nice.
Okay. All right.
If you're watching, tell us what it was. I'm looking through the inbox right now, and I'm blazing past it. Oh, Mark Andrews? Was it Mark Andrews?
It may have been. Let's see what was the problem.
Okay, you asked for studio problems on Sunday night. Here's mine. I just purchased a Blue Mouse mic. A Blue Mouse, yeah. And
it's a blue, right?
It's made by Blue, and it's actually a really, really good voiceover mic. Nothing else has changed in my studio. However, I have acquired this very loud electronic wave tone. All I did was unplug the old and plug in the new. Didn't even have to touch my board. So what the heck happened? I've attached the audio and a picture of the studio. It is in a small bedroom, roughly 10 by 12 dropped ceilings. Well, he does have an audio file.
All right, well, let's give it a listen. Back to our roots on the East West Audio Body Shop here. Let's see if we can figure this out and stump the experts here.
Let me save it, and I will open it right up.
Okay.
And we'll give it a gander here. Let's see, go to my... Didn't have that folder at the ready. Sorry, everybody. Just a second. EWAB files, caller samples, and I'll drop it right into the show. That way it won't go through our post-show processing, and you'll hear it played raw. So here it is.
Well, hi, and say, how are you? Welcome to... no, I'm totally kidding here. All right, here we go. By the way, I'm going to leave some silence at the end of this so that you can hear this noise that I have acquired in my new studio. Maybe you can figure out, or maybe you know what it is, and you can help me get rid of it. There once was a man from Nantucket who kept all his cash in a bucket. Come on, guys, where'd you think I was going with this? But his daughter named Nan ran away with a man, and as for the bucket, Nantucket. Well, hi, and say, how are you? Welcome to... no, I'm totally.
Okay.
I know what it is.
So yeah, is that like that telemetry kind of high-pitched whining noise, right?
It's not telemetry. So you tell me your hearing is better than mine, but I can hear it.
No. I mean, I'm not saying it is telemetry. I'm saying it sounds like telemetry.
Yeah, no, to me, I think that sounds like a bad cable, or, as he changed cables because it was a new mic. It may have been a crappy cable, and he may have worn out, and there might be a frayed terminal in there. And whenever you get a frayed terminal in a mic, remember, there's a lot of tension on these things. Especially if you're a real klutz like I am, you keep knocking it over. You give it a yank. If something starts to come loose, and any part of the insulation, there's that core, that braided core. If that gets frayed in any way, that lets interference get in, and that's what that is. It's usually from the monitor or from something along those lines. Usually from the monitor, and I have found that whenever you just replace the XLR cable, it works. It usually just eliminates it like that. I mean, in some places it's really, really bad.
Yeah,
I've noticed that about 8 or 9 times we've had that problem. Fix it with a new cable.
With a new cable, yeah. It's a cheap fix. Don't spend $50-$60 on a monster. Get a Mogami Gold, the shortest one you can get for your setup. $30-$40 at the very most.
Right.
Should be. I mean, some stores charge more for cables, but it often fixes the problem. Sometimes ground lifting the computer monitor gets rid of weird noises like that too. I don't know. I've run into that as a fix too.
Yeah,
but
it's nothing major. It's if it wasn't there and then it was, it's nothing major.
Yeah, it's grounding and shielding and whatever, and that's all comes down to the mic cable. That's like you said. I only changed one thing. Well, in changing that one thing, you changed something else at the same time, and that's a bad connection and the cable started. So very well done. I often forget. It's so funny. I take the mic cable for granted sometimes, admittedly, and I forget to just try changing the simplest and cheapest thing to swap out in the studio. I'm always saying, you got any more mics around, but changing out the mic cable can do some really amazing things for your audio quality.
Yeah.
But don't overlook them, especially if it's a long cable.
Yeah. Now Michelle's telling us that she's gotten weird static. Send us a copy. It's like, I've got this sound. Well, what is the sound? It would help a whole lot if we could actually hear it, because that's really where a lot of these mysteries are solved, because different sounds really have different telltales to them. There are different frequencies, and it's usually pretty easy to figure out what it's coming from. And it's usually an electrical problem of some sort, but it's generally not your computer, and it's generally not the microphone. It's usually something in between.
Yeah.
And that's what we usually look for.
The things that have caused me the most headache ever when it comes to troubleshooting are related to Pro Tools. I spent 6 hours. I spent 6 hours in a 6x6 booth with a voice actor trying to suss out a technical problem with his Pro Tools system, causing a CPU buffer error. I mean, that's the most common thing that plagues any Pro Tools user. Yep. And there's now a group. Somebody, it might have been Cliff, I don't know who, but somebody made a group on Facebook specifically for voice actors with Pro Tools, which I think is a really cool idea. I'm not going on there answering questions. I'm going on there posting questions and trying to get everybody else to help me figure out what the heck is wrong with this system. I mean, we have tried almost everything. But what's amazing is no matter how often I say, try this, or I tried that, or I tried that, somebody always chimes in, well, did you try this? And I'm like, no. There's like 1,000 different things it can be.
That's right. And why would you use Pro Tools when you can use Twisted Wave on your iPad?
I know. Yeah. I know.
Come on now, kids. You try to make this so much more complicated than it really has to be. It's not rocket science.
I think the people that are the most reluctant to want to change from Pro Tools are those with a music background.
Yes.
They spent a long time recording in studios, and this particular guy is definitely one of those people. He's had years of recording experience. He's worked in a lot of studios, and so he comes from the technical background. So part of it is sort of like an ego thing. You just don't want to just give up. Like you've invested years of your life, you invested all this money. The idea of just pulling the plug on it and trying something new, and he just can't do it.
It's just it's therapy.
It's therapy. Yeah.
Let go.
Let go.
Let go. That's what you have to do.
It's so true. It's so true. I actually can really identify with that, because I've been sticking it out with this accounting software that's really challenging and heavy duty for many years. I've invested thousands of dollars in training, and my CPA is like, "Hey, it just go back to using QuickBooks."
That's what I use.
I'm like, no, you don't understand. So I get it. I totally get it. I understand.
Am I good with the expenses? No, but invoicing and stuff like that, it's just, you can't beat it.
I just had a meeting I had my bookkeeper, my CPA, and my software consultant over at the same table,
all swearing at you.
Just telling me you got to do this better and that better, and the CPA is going, I don't understand this software, and the other one's saying, well, actually, it's like this. And anyway, don't go there if you don't have to do that. I'm a small business, but I still have a lot of stuff to keep track of. I sell equipment and I contract, and it's nuts being a small business, especially in California. It's really nuts being a small business owner here. It's tough.
Yep. Actually, and it's like that here in the People's Republic of New York too. So, but we are small business people, folks. You got to remember that. It's not this. If it's a hobby for you, it's gonna suck you dry. It really is. You either got to commit to it or otherwise. Well, anyway, so we're still waiting on Bill Ratner. So
we'll pop to another break here real quick and see if I can get him.
See if we can get him, and if not, we still have more to talk about. And you guys are great for hanging with us this evening. But then again, look at all this great information we're throwing out.
It's true.
Come on now.
And make the best of it.
That's right. Hey, when we talk shop, people listen.
People listen.
People
right.
listen.
Somebody
All right,
does.
that's right. We'll be right back after this. Don't you go anywhere.
El Dorado Recording Services.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
This is Alex Verdi.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish
I've got my travel kit, I got my Source Connect, I've got it all going on, thanks to you.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Two guys I love spending Sunday nights with.
Yeah, and we love spending Sunday night with you.
I got to see Larry and Elizabeth Friday night.
Where they were at the your thing you were at.
Yeah, there was a benefit. It was called Voices and the Voice, and it was put on by Nita LaFontaine, and it was a fundraiser for not only for the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab, but for her own organization that she started with her two daughters, Lisi and Sky, which is called In a World with Books. In a World with Books.
Don was a voracious reader, wasn't he?
Big time reader. They said that he could sometimes pound down 300 books a year.
Wow.
So he was, especially in the days of his limo, when he was riding around town, he was reading books. Books were really important to him, and he really feels like it contributed to his skill as a voice actor. And I would have to agree with that. I mean, the better you are at reading, your job is reading, right?
But it's more than that. It's cultural literacy.
Yeah.
If you understand a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff, it makes it easier for you to explain it to other people, which is,
true.
Fortunately, I'm well educated and I know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff, and my parents knew a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. So, even if I didn't read the book, I saw the movie. Mm-hmm. And so I understand a lot of, if you have good cultural literacy, if you read the news, if you read magazines, if you're up to date on a lot of stuff, it's a big help in voiceover, not just for commercials, for e-learning. It's tremendous because you get to learn about all sorts of stuff. Hey, look, I know how to avoid driving into a moose. Canadian truckers, they got a problem up there. You hit a moose, it's gonna destroy your truck. Big thing.
Exactly.
They have skinny legs and all their weight is up in the upper. You hit them, they're gonna go right through the windshield. So
they're very top heavy.
They are very top heavy. Now, had I not already known that, I would have read that and went, "Oh my God!" As I read that, I'm like, but I knew that about moose.
Good.
Yeah. Also, that moose their eyes don't reflect in the light. So you've got this boulder of an animal that's now standing in the road, and you're coming at it with an 18-wheeler. It's no contest. So anyway, speaking of contests,
what's the plural of moose, by the way?
Moose.
I know. You were supposed to say something stupid like meese.
No, it would be moose. Speaking of moose and meese, we've got some great guests coming on in the next couple. We do have June Foray coming up in a couple of weeks.
We do.
The voice. She didn't do Bullwinkle, but she was Rocky.
Right, Rocky.
And she was Nell, and she was that witch in that really funny Bugs Bunny cartoon when she's trying to kill Bugs Bunny. And I mean that was a classic. But also, next week we've got one of our favorite people, Harlan Hogan's going to be on the show with us.
Yeah, he's got a special announcement.
He absolutely does. And we're going to using his name as a great segue to talk about VoiceOver Essentials.
VoiceOverEssentials.com.
VoiceOverEssentials.com. the home of Harlan Hogan's amazing web store for voiceover folks. He's got everything you could possibly need, except George. And you can actually get to George through there and get through me through there, but you can also get to him through us.
Exactly.
It's these nodes and spokes thing. Anyway, voiceover essentials. What does he have there?
Well,
of course,
yeah,
we know about the VO1A. What's something new? Something new this week that he's got in the store?
I was looking around to see if I could find you something really cool that you haven't.
Well,
seen
there's
before.
the recording sign. I've got the recording sign.
The recording sign. There's he does have the Mic Port Pro. That's the thing that I've gotten. I've told so many people about over the years, because talk about a simple plug and play way to get a professional sound out of a studio mic.
Yeah,
I mean it really is easy. I mean, I like the Apogee one a little bit more, but
I do too.
If you want to save $100 and you're not on Mac, this thing is about the simplest way to get a professional recording out of a studio mic. It works really well with his own VO1A, of course.
Of course.
And you can buy it as a combo with the VO1A in a combo. But it will work with just about any professional studio condenser mic. It will work with dynamic mics too, but it doesn't quite have enough gain to get the most out of a dynamic mic. So it works great though with condenser microphones. And on Mac, it's plug and play. On Windows, it can be plug and play, and sometimes it requires installation of a driver. Sometimes it does, depending on what kind of software you're working with.
You people wonder, why do we keep saying Mac? That's why. Make our lives easier.
We're
but then again,
record.
That's right. We're a broken record. But the VO1A, great microphone. And I know a lot of folks have them out there, and it just makes them sound dandy.
Yeah, it does. It's hard to screw up with the VO1A. I mean, it for what it costs, you get out of the box, you get the shock mount, you get the Mogami mic cable, and you get a little carrying case and a fixed mount as well. And that's a pretty good assortment for that price of $279. So check it out. And here's the combo package real quick before we wrap this up. You can get it with a MicMate Pro or with the Mic Port Pro. The MicMate Pro, the big difference is the Mic Port Pro can do 96 kilohertz recording, and the MicMate can only do 44.1. But honestly, for voiceover,
who uses 90? Who uses that?
You know what? I'm going to say almost nobody. I don't think anybody needs to record at 96 kilohertz in the world of voiceover.
It'll suck up your hard drive in 2 minutes.
Not yet. It basically doubles the file size. If you were usually recording at 44.1 or 48 and you start going to 96, you're doubling the file size. That's the audio bandwidth used on like HD, or actually like Dolby surround sound and digital sound mixes for film and stuff. And those failed audio formats like DVD. Remember the DVD audio format that came and went? I think they figured out that people are more interested in convenience than they are at being audio files. So
I can dig that, but it's amazing how when people get into voiceover and they're setting up their studios, how they think they have to be a geek. And that they've got to have all this great stuff, and it's not necessarily so. I mean, if you look at something simple like a Mic Port Pro, that is a simple technology. Well, it's not simple technology.
Not simple on the inside, but on the outside.
On the outside, it's like 2 dials, and you plug it in, and it works. That's right. And make sure you turn on the phantom power. But if you can plug in a stereo, you can work one of these things. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Everybody gets intimidated. You can't be intimidated by technology. Just take the leap and do it. And if you don't know how, call George Ryan. We'll show you how.
Yeah. Call a friend. Call a friend that's smarter than we are.
That's right. It's like Cash Cab. You can call a friend. And
exactly.
All right. Anybody else got any problems here? The chat room's been pretty busy here.
I do have some. I know we jumped and got a picture and a clip in already, but I do have some other picture and audio clips to share with you.
Excellent.
Guys.
So we've got our pick of the week.
This is from Sean O'Shea. I think it's Sean O'Shea. At least that's what the audio. Folks, when you send me a file, put your name in all the files, like the pictures and the audio clips. Make
like
it
you're supposed to do with your clients.
Make it as easy as possible for me, please, I beg of you. Well, this one says has the name Sean O'Shea in it, so I'm hoping that's who this is. So I'll play this for you, and then I'll show the photos he's got.
John is a responsible guy and has insurance with Allstate to protect the important things in his life. But one day he started to wonder how he is covered if an accident happens. If it's really right for him, and what will change if he changed his policy.
Okay. Oh, sorry, folks. A little bit too much proximity.
It's proximity. Well, now if you now look at here's another. Now, last week we had somebody who was under the stairs, and this is a similar thing. Mm-hmm. One of the things I heard in there is there's a little bit of very rapid bass reflex. It's not it's not a booming bass reflex, but as he hits that last word, which is a technique thing, there might be a little bit of proximity, but it's also, so there's a wood shelf there.
Yeah.
And I think the configuration, and also it also is probably the wood panel below that is causing a little bit of boominess.
Here's another shot for you. Okay, so just a slightly different angle so you can see other wall.
Right. And this actually goes to what Michelle was just asking about a small booth. And, so it's it's a little narrow, and that can cause that too. So if you're in a small booth like that, proximity is very, very important. You've got to be that 5 to 7 inches away from the mic, and you can't be on top of it. And I can tell because he's got the pop shield real close up.
Yeah, I can tell the way the mic's set up there that he's probably speaking like straight into it.
Right,
like they dead on in the center. Yeah, and it does not generally work very well in voiceover. No. I think a lot of people learn from watching, radio personalities, and they see that mic buried in their face. Maybe they watch our show and our mics are kind of close. Mine is pretty close. But for voiceover, that natural pickup range is generally somewhere between 6 and 10 inches. So, don't get too close. The other thing is the under the step setup like that. The bottom of the steps, that cavity down below where the laptop is that you can't stand in.
It's a little reverberation cabinet.
The bass kind of builds up in that space. It really kind of builds up and gets kind of bounced around. And, all that sonics on the wall is going to do a nice job of sucking up the mid and the top range, but it's not doing anything for you at the bottom end. So you really need some bass trapping in there. And the best place I would think to put it would be to build something directly under the table where the laptop is. All that space under that shelf straight to the floor is wasted space. It's not usable space. You're not going to step. You're not standing there. You're not sitting there. So fill that up with really thick, dense foam, an old mattress, or some proper acoustical paneling from like ATS Acoustics or something. And you will get that room sounding pretty good. You're not too far off, but just needs a couple little tweaks.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell if it's an open space or if he's got a door on there.
Yeah. If there's a door on the back, then that's enclosing the space and making it even more of an enclosed cabinet sound. So, that could be another part of it. Do you sometimes tell people to, if they're in a closet, to just open the door?
I do it all the time.
Right.
I've done it with people in whisper rooms. They're like, I've got this sound and it's got this boom. I said, okay, open the door. Yeah, but it's a $3,000 whisper room. I know, but that's why it sounds the way it does. So open the door. We'll get some bass traps and we can fix that. We've talked about whisper rooms so many times and closing things in. There's a real science to it, but it's also a matter of tuning the room. I mean, you can build it to certain specs, but you still have to tune it. It's a lot of trial and error because every little place, every room is a little bit different. Which reminds me, I had this brilliant idea this week, and then I thought, I'm never going to be able to pull this off because I'm still designing, how it's going to be in here, and then. I saw this very, very interesting documentary that that our friend Deb Irwin narrated about this architect, this famous architect in German architect. And he had these visions and things would swirl around. And I'm like, instead of building a pentagon room, why not build it round?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how the hell am I going to build a round room with plasterboard? It's
well,
it have to be really big, but
I'll tell you why I think a round room may not work. And that's because in a round room, it creates infinite numbers of ways that the sound can be. It's not a parabolic reflector, but basically you get these nodes, right? Where if you stand in the right spot, the sound is reflected off all the walls equally and comes right back to you.
Oh, sort of like the whisper spot in the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. That if you ever been in a rotunda or any circular room, and there's a spot where they say if you stand here. Have you ever been in a planetarium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're near the edge of the planetarium, if you're sitting towards the back, someone sitting clear on the other side of the room is,
you can hear them clear as a bell.
Very audible. Like they're talking to their wife and, almost whisper. You can hear it. So sometimes a round room might cause a problem that way. I don't know what it is about angles. They create enough randomness that you don't end up with that same kind of parabolic reflector problem. So,
well, I'll have to experiment with that. I mean, this is good. I want this place to be totally unique, but it's got to sound good too.
Yeah, exactly.
But the round room sounded like a good idea at the time. But,
I'm sure you could find a sweet spot in there where it would sound great,
right?
But it would be challenging, I think.
Right. Well, I'm not going to put a dome on it. It's just going to be
a cylinder.
A cylinder, yeah.
Cylinder.
Like, I'll go get one of those cans that they put on, a Red Bull can that they put on a Volkswagen and put that down. Then there was these guys. They had this. I guess they never marketed. They came up with an inflatable sound booth.
Yeah. I don't think.
I for some reason I never got it on the market. So, however, I did discover that if you use inflatable mattresses, like if you're on the road, there's another great little damping idea. Get 2 inflatable mattresses. Remember the old Simple V thing I showed you guys? Just put them together like this and put your mic stand in there or whatever. And that works great too.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, those vinyl ones that you pump up with electric pump?
Right, exactly. Okay. But the soft side, the bed side.
Oh yeah, the side that sort of has like a velour, sort of micro suede type of thing on it.
I mean, think about it. Big air space, and it actually works. So, there's another tip of the week there.
Boy, we're just racking them up and knocking them down tonight.
I know. Well, I guess something has happened to Bill, and
Bill.
we're very sorry, but you guys still hung out and listened to us.
I hope you guys. I hope Bill's all right, and we'll just have to schedule him in another time.
Yeah, but we do have some other great guests coming up. Like we said, we got Harlan coming up next week, and June Foray, my otolaryngologist, who's very excited to be on.
Oh, cool! I think that's going to be one of our, how can I say it's going to be one of our more interesting shows?
They're all interesting. The fact that we get it on the air is interesting.
Exactly. But he's going to be, he's going to have some really valuable information for sure.
Absolutely.
We've got, I got a hole in the schedule for May 20th. So we'll keep that open. Maybe we'll keep that open for Bill or Rolanda Watts. We'll see which one of them shows up. And, and then, on the 27th, we've got June. That's when June Foray is going to be on. The 27th.
27th, yes.
Yeah.
Next week is Mother's Day.
Mother's Day is coming up.
What to get the wife?
Yeah, I better start planning now. The 10th is when Dan will be in town with me.
We're going to do our 50th show from the Don LaFontaine Lab.
Yep. I got to start planning that actually. I haven't told him yet. But I have a key, so I think it'll be all right.
Well, that makes it a little easier.
But then the show after that is at Voice 2012.
Voice 12. Wow, we're planned out. We're finally planned ahead here for once.
Isn't that amazing? We actually have some shows like we know what's going on.
That's right. You guys think we know what's going on here.
Right. What do you guys think of the new website? How many of you guys clicked on it, dude? Is it? Are any of you guys watching the show on the in the embedded player on the website right now? Is it performing better? Does Because I know some people were saying that they couldn't watch the show on our website. They had to go to Ustream because it would just play really poorly and it was choppy and, So that was why I decided to make a new version using what they call HTML5 and kind of ditch the Flash stuff. So if you guys are liking it, I'll make it go live this week.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
I used Wix. I use Squarespace for my company's website, but Wix is really getting good. I mean, that website I built, there's branding from Wix on it because it's still actually, believe it or not, a free site. But I'm gonna change that soon, and we'll actually pay for it and get rid of the Wix branding. But man, what you can build for free is pretty amazing. I mean, that website I built today, I built in an hour. Granted, I was copying and pasting some stuff from the other site and all that, but that thing came together lickety split and
outstanding.
It looks really good. So if you guys are looking to build a site, try Wix. I'm impressed.
Yes. And of course, we'll take this opportunity to let you know if you want a coffee mug or a T-shirt or a hat or, do we have pint glasses? Somebody was asking, can you get a pint glass?
I might have to make another store with all our specialty products, like wine glasses and pint glasses, because we don't have any of that stuff yet. But
yes, that's going to make your dinner party really classy. Your East West Audio Body Shop wine snifter. But we go over to the EWABS, the East West Audio Body Shop, and what's the address over there to
shop.ewabs.com.
shop.ewabs.com. Get yourself a T-shirt, get yourself a sweatshirt. Mine kept me nice and toasty all winter long. And the coffee mugs and all those things, the great, mouse pads and also the bags. Laptop covers, laptop bags, and all those sorts of things with this wonderful logo on it. So go buy.
And that logo is an interesting amalgamation of a design that you created. You created the initial oval layout, and then my brother, with the help of somebody else, created the actual relief of our faces, and then my brother threw it back together and created the new logo. I think it came out pretty nice.
It did. I had a little bit of a problem with logos, and I know, and I know Peter O'Connell's not on here, but Peter hates the way I do logos.
Oh, you have a problem with designing logos or just using logos in general?
No, just designing them. He didn't like this logo.
Yeah.
I mean, until we put the picture on to hide the part he didn't like, I guess. Two
arrows.
Yes.
Maybe he didn't like the two arrows.
Maybe that's it. But also, I also designed the initial World Voices Organization logo. And
which wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad.
The original one? No, the W and the V, that worked really nicely.
The W-V inside the O? I thought it was not bad.
Yeah, really. But people jumped on the site and said, who designed that? And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I didn't think it was wrong. Yeah. I don't know.
But the new one that we came up with, Mehmet Amur from Turkey designed our new one, which was a big favorite. So we're going to start using that.
It's a nice, clean design. It's very obvious what it is. And sometimes you don't want to get too slick with an organization nobody's ever heard of.
That's true. So, well, now I'll tell you something. A lot of people have heard about it because, the discussion has been fabulous. Organizing it has been very, very exciting. We're getting there, guys. All your suggestions are being put to good use. It's being discussed. Tech stuff's going to be real interesting. It's not what you're expecting. This is going to be a real positive educational experience for everybody. So you can learn how to do this stuff properly, and you too can be certified as somebody that, any client will know that you can do just about anything that they need to do. So exactly. That's what we're working on now.
The group on Facebook has 137 members.
We have 246 on LinkedIn.
Oh, really? There's more on the LinkedIn thing.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Now people they're joining in droves, so that's going to be great. So we're going to have an application process fairly soon. We want to work out a number of things, make sure all our legal stuff is set up, and then we're going to open the floodgates, and our industry association will exist for everybody, and that's the most important thing.
Well, keep sending in your pictures and your auto samples, where we'll use them every week. Send in your problems.
Send in
questions.
your problems. We want your problems. I want to hear your problems.
Send in your questions, your comments. We take it all. And thanks for those that have been continuously sending us donations. Some of you have repeatedly sent us donations, which blows my mind.
You could give it to your public station, but you're not getting anything from them. From us, you're getting something it's actually valuable. Anyway. I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Sorry, Bill couldn't join us tonight, but we still had fun. That's why you're here. And you guys are the greatest audience in the world.
And even though we didn't have a guest, we still went for an hour and 20 minutes.
I don't know. We could probably go for another hour and 20 minutes, but I got to go to bed.
I know, man. I got to eat some dinner. I'm starving.
Yeah, there we go. All right. And I bet Amy's making something very nice. Anyway, I'm Dan Leonard here in the East.
And George Whittam here in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. You guys have yourself a great week. We will see you next week. Harlan Hogan's our guest. And send in your problems, send in your pictures. But most of all, send yourselves to us every Sunday night. We'll see you then.
Take care, everybody.